to get the countdown here, and the seed is about to begin for both of these runners. And JC, well, why do we only have one bed? That's an interesting question. Well, let's go ahead and see what's in that chest. The single chest, 20 rupees.
Hey, I called it. It's a conspiracy. They gave me the seed. They gave me the spoilers beforehand. That's how I knew.
Okay, well, Mr. Spoilers, what's going to be in this next chest?
Red shield.
Red shield.
And I will quit if I'm right. I will just get the hell out of here.
Well, if that is the case, we'll be taking nominations to replace Phantom Ryu in the commentator's booth here.
Do you know why I'm going to be quitting? Because I'm going to be running out to go buy some lottery tickets.
Red shield is possible, though. Don't forget, we are not doing the new progressive logic. This is still the 18s that we're doing here during the this early part of the bracket stage. And it was red, you were correct, but it was a heart.
Close enough, right? So yeah, even though the randomizer has been updated to version 19 and soon here I believe version 20, the tournament, to keep everything on an even playing field, is staying on the version 18 logic, barring everyone that's left in the tournament agreeing to change to a different logic.
And one of the things that are being introduced with the version 19 logic is what we call progressive items, which means the first shield you're going to find is the fighter's shield. The first sword upgrade after getting the uncle would be the master sword. Well, that's good if you don't like getting the butter sword 6 minutes into a run. But there's another change that came with the progressive the 20 logic that the people were doing in the big race today, and that is you now can do pedestal percent and have an end goal because there's a Triforce in that pedestal during that percent.
I see the pedestal hype coming into the chat here. As we've said before, the pedestal hype, all the chat always wants the pedestal, and the runners never want the pedestal. So,
why not?
Because extra dungeons, and it just hurts your average time, man. But it is hype as heck.
Yeah, but, wouldn't it be fun to watch these guys have to go into 3 extra dungeons?
Oh, it absolutely would for us, but, the runners are like, I want to get this over with. I want to know. I got to know. Am I behind? Oh, my gosh. Where's my opponent? And, the stress for the runner is great, but that also leads to great hype from us.
Well, yeah, I'd love to have some nice hype with you. We've had some nice hype in the other race we did together.
Absolutely. We commentated the 3-way race that Dodecahedron ended up winning, and my gosh, the lead changed at least 3-4 different times in that seed based on people finding items in different orders. So Zelda didn't have much in her chest today, but both of them are making their way out of the escape. Raikou is about to take care of Mr. Ball and Chain with pot strats.
I'm not even going to touch what you just said.
Sometimes these things just come out of your mouth and you don't realize the innuendo that you could do there. This is a family-friendly stream, people. I see you in the chat. Come on.
That's being clipped. I can guarantee you that's being clipped right now.
It's all right. I'm a 40-year-old father of 2. Come on, all I got are dad jokes.
Well, then you'll be perfectly good when we get to blind.
The chat's going nuts already. I love it. We are prime time here, 7:30 p.m. on a Saturday night. This is a great time for video games, and in particular, 2017 Link to the Past Randomizer Tournament. Now, this is the standard mode where you always have to go through escape. There's also an option for an open mode where you do not have to go through the escape at all. However, there are still items hidden in the escape. But the tournament is running on the standard seed, so everyone will go through escape and see what 5 items are hidden in the escape, including the map.
And that's why we're talking about this right now, because this has pretty much been the same thing for 100+ races now, as JC ends up getting the guaranteed bombs now, and that means he can get every single chest that's in this escape.
Oh, so we've got a bottle some green goo in the escape here. That will allow these guys to get to the sick kid in Kakariko Village. The other important aspect of the escape here is also whether or not you find some bombs. Both of them have found 8 bombs, so they can get into the additional room here in the sewers.
All right, let's find out what is going to be these the fantastic room of the left side here. 3 chests, no waiting. Here we go. Come on, let's have something nice in there for once. JC, don't blow your face off. You only got a heart left. And nothing. And a heart container. Sanctuary heart.
Sanctuary heart. All right. Sank heart hype. So what is going to be in the chest next to the priest at Sanctuary?
Yeah, people are already wanting to dub that as the terror chest, and for certain reasons that we're just going to go ahead and ignore at this point.
Yeah, we shall.
556 escape. I'm still baffled by how people can do a 6-minute escape.
As am I. I've never been able to do it that quickly at all, particularly because this is randomizer and you have to go get every single item, and yeah, I'm amazed as well.
Well, we get an early indication of what we got going on here in the overworld, as 2 of the 3 dungeons are crystals.
And Tower of Hera is crystal number 6, which is half of the important 2 that allow you to get the fat fairy.
The double-chested fairy, get it right.
So JC looks like he's going to go up and check lumberjacks to see if we can get an early indication of whether or not.
That's an awful pull.
Yeah, not good.
And Eastern is a blue pendant, and the item inside the lumberjack tree today is, well, it's a medallion. It looked like the bombos.
It did. So the lumberjacks, and they're okay, are holding the bombos medallion, which time will tell whether or not that means that Aghanim is required.
That is very interesting, because there's 2 possibilities in which the bombos would make this an Aga 1 required seed.
Absolutely, because the randomizer does also shuffle the
butter sword.
Butter sword in the Lost Woods.
Get that margarine out, guys. We're going to be seeing it for the next hour and a half.
It's like butter. And another bottle in there. But as we were saying, Rick, the randomizer can shuffle the medallions needed for entry into Misery Mire and Turtle Rock dungeons. So if either of them are required, and Bombos is the required medallion for either one of them, which it could be for both of them the way the randomizer works.
And
then Aghanim.
Well, I was going to say, the other thing that Bombos could be required for is, don't forget, you do not necessarily need a Fire Rod to get into the Ice Palace. There's a possibility Fire Rod could be in the Ice Palace.
That is true, because you have to have either Bombos or Fire Rod to be able to kill the Freezors in Ice Palace. No other attack will work.
So here we go. Welcome to Kakariko Village. Incoming red mail. I can already smell it. Oh, there's one of the 2 sword upgrades. Half magic.
So there will be no quarter magic this game, but half magic, just about as good. So Rick, with all of the sword upgrades earlier on in the game, what does that mean about Aghanim being required?
It is a possibility I might be shooting these guys to an early Aghanim. Like, right now we've already seen 3 of the 4 swords. And I would really get suspicious if this game decides it's going to hand you the boots really soon.
Agreed. Because that would mean... Oh, JC throwing a bomb the wrong way. Oh,
good shot.
And a little bit of love. So what else is in the well cave here?
More love. The flu, which is nice because we can get the early Swag Duck anthem going.
Absolutely. It also opens up, once they get Titansmith, opens up Misery Mire and the area around it. $100 for the bottle merchant gets you the bow today, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, please rise. It's time for the Swag Duck anthem.
which unfortunately Adirondack Rick and I cannot hear because we do not have sound.
There we go. But that now also does give these guys a path up to Death Mountain. And with the hook shot in hand, that now also makes it a possibility that you have 7 more chests you can check.
Absolutely. East side Death Mountain. Still no possibility to get into the Dark World, though, because neither has a lift upgrade at the moment.
So we're waiting to see what else this town seems to have, and we got some people just saying whether or not we could find the sick kid with the Moon Pearl. Wouldn't that be something?
That would be entirely possible, and it would also explain why he's so sick, given this interdimensional pearl that prevents you from changing forms in the Dark World.
I'm hearing rumors that DT has worked on a 3rd verse of the Spagnuck Anthem.
I'm hearing those rumors as well, and we cannot wait until he gets the chance to debut it to the world. I would not want to disrespect him by attempting to recreate his dulcet vocal tones, so I, out of respect, remain silent during the Swag Duck theme.
All right, let's see what's in the library. Ooh, the lantern.
Lantern. So how are... Now, I know for me, that would be an immediate, okay, as soon as I hit there, as soon as I get the boots, I'm coming back here. But what do you know about these two guys' skills in dark rooms, Rick?
Raikourider's getting that lantern. Maybe JC might skip over, but here's the thing. If you know where the lantern is and it can help save you some time later on, you're a fool for not going to grab it.
Agreed, but I have seen some runners who run through dark rooms like
there's your fireball shield, by the way.
Hey. Incredibly useful shield because it's the only one that can block the fireballs from the... I don't even remember what they're called, but the faces in the dungeons. The little red fireballs and Zora fireballs. Probably the best reason to have that shield and or the mirror shield.
And bombs. Not quite what you want to find at this point. Coming out of the swamp.
No, and if they've been sitting at the bottom of the swamp, the fuse is probably all screwed up by now, too.
Yet, for some reason, Link would still grab them if he needed them. And they might work.
I dry them out long enough, you're probably okay. So we have the Lake Hypelia cave coming up now for JC.
You know, something about being in 12 minutes into a seed and already having 7 hearts and the fireball shield and the butter sword. And the mushroom.
Mushroom.
Which is going to be even easier considering the fact that they have the flute, so they can easily get that to the potion shop.
Indeed. And also, once JC here's getting close to 500 rupees, so also while you're at the potion shop, Zora is right around the corner. However, he does not yet have the flippers. Is he going to fake flipper here? Yep.
Missed it by that much.
I always find it easier going from the right screen to the left than from the left to the right. Shouldn't make any difference, but I've always found it easier going that way.
Most of the runners like to use that little bush as a reference point. Like the game wanted them to learn how to fake flipper. Single rupee on the island, so none of them are going to be getting that. Raiku's heading up for the Ice Rod Cave.
And yeah, JC may have decided to skip the Ice Rod Cave because it's so far out of the way and he doesn't have boots. So let's see if that makes a difference in the run here.
Oh, we'll find out if there's something nice and important here. JC. And the items are... nothing significant.
Yeah, neither one of them is going to make a huge difference. Neither one of these guys runs right now.
So, with the arsenal that you have in your hands right now, what would you do?
Well, unfortunately, we don't have I would be doing probably what JC is doing and going straight to Death Mountain because, as you mentioned before, 7 chests. Where he was, if Eastern Palace had been a crystal dungeon, you might have considered heading in there now, not only with its 3 items, but also a required item being the crystal that you'd have to get anyway. But I think this is probably the best call right now heading into Death Mountain, particularly because of the hook shot.
Raiku's going to have to be careful with the fake flippers here. And by the way, this is to note that he has been working on fake flippers, so it's good to him, but he's going to have to be careful. Because if you take a hit while you're fake flippering, you are dead. And I didn't even get to see what JC picked up from the old man.
Neither did I. I was too concerned that Raikou was about to get hit by one of the Zoras. Now, what's nice, though, is with the red shield, while you are swimming, you can deflect a Zora fireball while you are swimming. So that would have been a possibility to save him had that happened.
We find a heart container on top of Spectacle Rock.
And inside the cave we have...
There's the flippers.
The flippers. So that will allow them to get the item on the ledge in Zora's domain.
So, nobody's trading in the mushroom just yet. Well, there goes Raikou. He's now doing that now.
You're psychic, Rick.
So, JC now picking up the flippers. Raikou's finding out what's in the potion shop. And, well, 5 rupees. Cash for drugs.
That's right. I would have to believe that Raikou's headed to Death Mountain. Yep.
But yeah, there's a lot of possibilities here on Death Mountain. So it makes perfect sense here because now you've got 8 more chests you can check. The 7 that are going to be coming up in the first cave plus the spiral cave, even though if you don't have boots, it's going to be a long walk. We have seen before in Siege where the boots were in the spiral cave.
Which is basically the game's way of kind of giving you a slight little middle finger there. Run through that long cave. Oh, here are the boots. Yeah, it would have helped me about 20 seconds ago, game. Thanks.
So JC making it through this cave here. He will be happy to find stuff. Not that. Not that. There's the single arrow.
The mighty single arrow. Everyone's got to be happy to find the single arrow.
Single rupee paired together with the single arrow. That might be another form of the game saying the same thing to these runners.
It could be. But it's purely random, of course.
And that bomb just blew up in JC's face, and there's the shovel.
Another fetch
Piece
quest.
Of heart.
And
there's the mirror. And there's the riot shield.
So we have the magic mirror. Now that will enable them to get the item on top of Spectacle Rock and to access Tower of Hera. Now they could go ahead and clear Tower of Hera as long as the item in the basement is not important.
That's correct. Neither of these guys have got the fire rod. We know the lantern is in the library at this point. Raikou opting to go for the safety of grabbing some fairies.
And why not? Of course, he doesn't have the bug net yet. In that manner where you can get the. If I could get my tongue untied, I haven't even been drinking yet tonight. But if you get the bug catching net,
the cane of Samaria is on the floating island.
And that will be incredibly important, whether Turtle Rock or Misery Mire, either one of them end up being required. Or if right side Ganon's Tower is required as well.
Is this going to be another bootless Spiral's cave to get to the boots?
I don't know. That did happen. Was it last night, Rick?
Yes, it did. Here we go. JC opens up the chest, and no, it's not.
10 extra bombs. So he opted to save and quit out of Death Mountain.
Well, he was down to 1 single heart, so I think it's just better off if he just resumes play somewhere else. Although he could easily just go right back to Death Mountain and take care of the Tower of Hera, but
he could have gotten old man kisses to refill his life.
I'm thinking he wants to see what this chain is with the shovel.
Absolutely. Just switched over to the shovel, and as usual, it could be anything, and this could be one of those decisions that ends up giving one of these players a big lead, because as it is right now, they're pretty much neck and neck.
Because you got to remember here, under 18 logic, it was kind of in chains how the game tried to force you into things. Obviously not this case.
Right. But that was the general preference of the logic, was that if you got an item that opened up something else, the game would likely put your next progression item. So, for example, when the game gives you the bow and opens up Eastern Palace, maybe it's trying to tell you to go to Eastern Palace because there you'll find, say, the book or the Cane of Samaria.
And Raikou opting to try his luck with the Super Bunny, but then realizes you need to have some gloves in order to do that. Actually, not gloves, mitts.
Not the power glove, it's so bad, but you need the Titan's mitts. And Raikou getting trolled by Dead Rocks over here.
Is there any runner at all who hasn't been trolled by Dead Rocks?
Oh, absolutely not. There was calls. I can't remember if it was in the chat or in the Discord, or calls saying, "Can we remove the Dead Rocks from the game, please, VTorp?" So let's check and see what Sahasrah's safety deposit box has in it today. We have a little bit of love, 300 rupees, and bamfs.
So he's stealing from the old man's Sarashala's bank vault again. My God.
It's Link. Wanted for theft and for destruction of clay pots.
How dare he?
Yes. So Raikou's going to go check the desert here.
Finds a piece of heart. He's got no way into the desert, but he's going to make his way over to Regina with the idea that maybe he's got something. Now, JC remembers another piece of this logic here. He's got the rupees. He's checking Zora.
He got the rupees and the flippers, which means he can get everything in Zora's domain. Well, Raikou is going to see what Sahasrah's long-lost brother has for him.
There's the boots. Zora's ledge for the boots.
Let's see if Zora has more than just a life lesson in store for our runners today.
And the bombs on Raikou's end there, unfortunately, not what he wants to see. So it's become quite apparent the right route to take was to head on over to Zora. He's got a little bit of love, unfortunately, but the better item is the boots, and we're going to see JC go after it.
I would surmise that's probably where Raikourider is headed now. No, he is headed over to Eastern Palace.
He might be going to Sarashala. He doesn't have the rupees for Zora, so it doesn't make a good idea for him to head on over to Zora's domain just yet.
Well, we have the advantage of knowing that once he has robbed Sahasrah, he will have plenty of rupees to go to Zora.
All right, JC heading on over to the Bomb Cave. Now, also, once again, don't forget there's bombos in the lumberjack tree, so that might be pushing them further and further to the Agam 1 fight.
Agreed. They already have. Oh, and there's the Moon
Pearl.
But they still have no lift upgrade, which means until such time, they still have really no way to get to the Dark World.
And Raikou is now going to warp himself, and he's now heading on over to Zora, and JC is going to go grab himself a lantern. There's your fire source. Tower of Hera is now completely beatable.
Indeed it is, and all items obtainable. Which is absurdly what you meant there.
Beatable.
Yeah.
And all items obtainable. Either or. It works here.
That is exactly where JC is headed off to. Raikou's going to find the bombs or the boots here, and assuredly he'll make the same calculus that JC did. So what does Raikou have to do here to catch up? He's not that far behind, so it could be pretty much anything.
At this point, I think it comes down to Raikou needs to pretty much just maybe make a branch that JC doesn't think of taking at this moment. That might be what really makes the difference between these two runners at this point. $500 rupees for a life lesson.
Excuse me. Raiku's going to go ahead and find the boots here and be very thankful that he came out this way.
Now, JC's going to find out if his decision to pick up the lantern goes and pays off really fast, as he does find out the big key is in that middle chest. So, thankfully, no trip down to the basement immediately. Raiku's going to be heading on over to Dash Cave, going to be picking up the Moon Pearl in just a moment.
And the nice thing about Tower of Hera is that as long as you count your items right, you don't necessarily have to head down to the basement for that item in the tile room, which takes 20 to 25 seconds of time just for those tiles to fly up at you.
You know who wants to go down to the basement?
Who is that, Adirondack, Rick?
Nobody.
You got me. Because that's kind of what I was figuring. It's sort of like we did have a race that was determined by the fact that one of our runners decided to wait on the tiles in Ganon's tower, and the big key was in that room, allowed him to catch up to his opponent and eventually win the race.
You know, that's the amazing thing about this tournament is that you've seen so many... Wow! That was quite the leap back there for JC.
Yeah, Troll Dorm rejecting JC, saying, I reject your reality and substitute my own.
And guess what? Trip to the basement incoming.
The nice thing, too, about doing it this way is that once you get the crystal, it teleports you all the way back down to the first floor, so...
My goodness, though. That was quite the bounce.
I've seen that one or two times. I don't know exactly the mechanism by which that glitch occurs, but...
Pretty much, Moldern said, you ain't coming to visit me.
That's right, rejected.
Alright, so JC, is this going to be an important trip down here?
We have seen it in the past. We also had a three-way race decided by one racer deciding to wait on the tile room. The other two skipped it, and later on, that turned out to be the ice rod.
Raikou going to Aga 1.
I can't blame him at all for that, given everything that we've discussed earlier.
Neither of these guys have a way into the Dark World at this point, outside of the one portal in Death Mountain, and that doesn't do you much.
No, not at all.
So he could find something nice in the Pyramid Ledge. The only other place where it could be is in Pendant Eastern Dungeon.
It is true.
Or it could be right there, but it's a piece of heart, and that says no.
But of course, it's one of those things. You're here, you know the possibility, you have to do it. Just because it didn't turn out the way you wanted it to doesn't mean that it wasn't the absolute right call.
So, well, JC's going to have to go to the Eastern Palace. So, here's the thing that will come into play. If this turns out to be a dud path here for JC, Raikou's got a lead. You mentioned earlier, what does Raikou have to do in order to take a lead in this race? Something like that.
Yeah, something like what we are seeing right now, a divergence in path that may turn out to be decisive.
Eastern Palace is beatable. Both runners have the bow and arrows. It is a 3-item dungeon. But if those 3 items are duds, then there is no other option. You have to do Aga 1.
But we have seen before that key items like, say, the hammer end up being in Thieves' Town, which is the Blue Pendant Dungeon, which is what happened on one of our races.
Also, don't forget, getting access to the Dark World here via the castle also unlocks pretty much 2/3 of the Dark World to Raikou. Because he can hookshot over the river and get onto the other side where he can get to Thieves' Town. He can get over to Skullwoods area.
That is 100% correct. And with both the mirror and the moon pearl, he can also get some of the locations like south of the haunted grove, north of the graveyard, places where you mirror from the dark world. JC finding the big key in Eastern Palace, so has yet to find, unless I'm missing my guess, he has yet to find a single one of the 3 unique items in this dungeon.
Yeah, there really wasn't much in there so far. Now, we know what the item in the lumberjack is. It's the bombos. It's a possibility that it's going to be required this run here. So again, another situation here. If that turns out to be required, then Raikou has a lead here because of that.
It's absolutely correct, and just goes to show you that one simple decision, one simple pathing difference can change the game dramatically. And who's to say that we won't have another one of these split-second decisions from JC later on that gives him a lead.
Our container makes 1.
Yep.
But here's the other thing. It doesn't have to be the mitts or the hammer on the pyramid ledge. It could be anything. Raikou's going to have access to the dark world, and like I said, he's going to have access to a lot of the dark world now. But, oh, wait, never mind. He does have to have something to lift with the rock in order to hookshot. That's right. So he's not going to have full access.
Correct, but he will have access to the Dark World Hype Cave. So the item on the pyramid is...
Being told flippers also works. Oh, there's the power glove.
Lift upgrade, just what we were talking about. And you've got to think
there we go.
Barring a key item like the fire rod or ice rod here in Eastern Palace, you've got to believe that raikourider has just given himself a pretty significant lead.
Well, we can't say significant yet. There's still a lot of items that can come into play, and Raikou using the hook shot just like we were going to think he was. And he's got a lot of places he can check now. And he's going to check King's Tomb first.
After the bee chases after him, that's not the good bee, that's the bad bee.
Is there really a good bee?
There is a good bee. It's if in vanilla, located in a statue to the room to the right of the ice rod. If you bonk into that statue, you can catch the good bee. It is a bee that flashes colors and will actually not only attack enemies, but also fly back to you after all enemies on the screen are destroyed.
Again, is there really a thing called a good bee?
Yeah, believe it or not. Well, it's called the good bee in the U.S. Manual. It's called the golden bee, I believe, in the Japanese version.
Well, since we're using the Japanese version, we'll just call it the better than the other bee.
And almost prophetically, Armos Knights are holding the Titan's mitts, which could turn out to be extraordinarily important here, particularly if either Turtle Rock or Misery Mire are required.
So, that actually... Well, no, you need Titan's Mitt no matter what.
Right.
You cannot beat the game without the Titan's Mitt. It is one of the guaranteed items that you need in order to beat the game. So, Raikou's going to have to go into Eastern at some point in time.
He absolutely is. So JC, I missed the item that was needed there for Mire.
It was something.
It was either Bombos, Quake, or Ether. And
there's
literacy.
The book. So you have to go into the dark world via the flute. So once again, now the flute is required.
Yep.
The Titan's Mitt is required.
Raikou is going to go ahead and grab the Bombos medallion, which...
Because you can't get into Desert Palace without the Titan's Mitt at this point.
That is correct.
And we're being told that Mire is Bombo, so Aga 1 is required.
So now we have no way of telling whether or not either one of these runners is really in the lead, because Raikou has completed Aghanim 1 and has Bombos.
Yeah, and he might be thinking he's in a good situation right now.
Not really.
But we know he's missing something that JC has. Just like JC. Well, actually, let me take that back. Because you got to remember, JC did look in the lumberjack cave. He knows.
He does indeed.
That now the fate is sealed that he has to do AGA. And bug catching that turns out to be in the chess game.
Along with 100 rupees now.
And there's your map. And Misery Mire turns out to be crystal number 5. Turtle Rock is a pendant. Thieves Town is a pendant.
Could we possibly be seeing some Sahasrahla hype in this particular seed? Could Sahasrahla have the ice rod? We have seen that before.
Well, it doesn't really matter if Sahasrahla has the ice rod. It's not required.
Yeah. Sometimes it's good to have. This is why it's good to have a second commentator to catch you when you screw up.
You said it, not me.
Hey, no, hey, and I fully admit it.
But he could have the fire rod.
That is entirely entirely possible.
As far as pedestal hype is concerned for both of these runners, let me think about it. What 3 dungeons were pendant dungeons? Turtle Rock,
Eastern
Town,
Palace,
and Eastern.
Yeah,
There's nothing in this game that could be in the pedestal. Sorry, guys.
No,
Maybe next time.
not at all.
Maybe next. Maybe in game 2. Oh, wait. No, never mind. Never mind.
You were thinking a medallion too, weren't you?
I was thinking flippers, but they already got the flippers.
Yeah. So Raiku's diving into Thieves Town here. It has 4 items or 4 chests in the beginning that are relatively quick to grab. The entire dungeon itself is not terribly time-consuming. The only downside for Raikou right now is the fact that he does not have the hammer and cannot clear every chest in this dungeon.
And also the fact that this is a pendant dungeon. And we know he has to beat a pendant dungeon, but not this one.
That's correct. He might be thinking Sahasrahla, because he does not know that the Titan's mitts are in Eastern Palace.
Could this be the trolley seed that makes these guys have to go through all pendant dungeons in order to beat this game?
That would be incredibly trolly, especially considering that this is the first of a doubleheader match. So to have the extremely trolly seed in the first match would be even more trolly.
Only way that's going to ever happen is if Fire Rod turned out to be in that first chest, or the path to what the first chest yields in Turtle Rock.
I did play a seed in a race the other night where Turtle Rock was the red pendant dungeon, but the Fire Rod was in Turtle Rock, and Skull Woods was required.
So the idea here is JC knows he needs to go AGA at some point in time. But with the Titan's Mitt, it's going to delay it, because now he's going to go ahead and check other things. He's going to be, at some point in time, making his way over to the Ether Medallion. But right now, I think he's going to be checking the chests he can get to via the Dark World.
And I think JC doesn't yet know that Aghanim is required, but he's got a pretty good idea.
He knows, because remember, he checked the Lumberjack Cave.
But he
checked the Lumberjack Cave at the beginning of this game. He saw the bombos right there at Misery Mire. He knows.
No, JC hasn't been to Misery Mire yet, because he has. Never mind, other way around. Sorry, I was thinking of my God.
What was Raikou doing pulling that? That's the first time I think I've seen all tournaments somebody pull that. The wrong thing there in the top floor of Thieves Town.
And those are unique enemies there. That is the only place that those Dark World snakes appear, if memory serves me correctly.
Could have possibly been trying to farm hearts, but not necessarily something I would have thought of doing. And now JC takes a look at the map and now realizes that, Misery Mire is a crystal dungeon. Crap. I do have to do Aghanim.
And Raikou here with a heart and a half in Thieves Town. I think you're correct that he's farming for hearts, and unfortunately all he has is a green potion and does not have a fairy.
Ooh, be careful there. Raikou, he takes the death right as he was trying to get into the stairs.
And that is unfortunate because, unless I've missed my guess here, well, now that he's left, the posts are certainly reset, so he would have had to travel back around to the crystal switch if he wanted to complete that dungeon.
Yeah, at least the bomb stays the way that it is, but it's unfortunately a time lost there for Raikou, who came up empty in his search through Thieves Town. JC now making his way through the Hookshot Cave. He didn't get anything interesting in the Hookshot. However, he's about to pick up the Cane Mario, which we know is required.
This is, and Raikou going to go dig up Alec Baldwin's backyard.
Why do they call it Alec Baldwin?
Because, have you ever seen the movie Beetlejuice, Rick?
Yes.
Remember the part where Adam and Barbara are trying to scare the Deepses away and they make the creepy faces, and Alec Baldwin elongates his face and shoves his head through his mouth up to the top of his head? That's kind of what that what the caretaker of the digging game looks like.
Well, that's fair. The thing with Raikou right now is he would have had an advantage if Thieves Town had something in for him, but suffering that death and not being to leave, he ended up probably yielding a little too much time away. He's going to go ahead and grab this potion because, well, we just saw it come to haunt him, the fact that he didn't have a potion.
It's sort of like the game giving you the boots after the spiral cave. Hey, here's a red potion now that you've died once.
Thanks for playing. And thanks to you, apparently, Beetlejuice is now going to be in certain people's search history forever.
Hey, well, what can I do? I'm glad I could help.
You've contributed to society.
I believe that I have.
You've also contributed to probably IMDb's page views for today.
The views expressed herein are solely those of the speaker and do not in any way represent the opinions of Speed Gaming 2, or the Internet Movie Database.
All rights reserved.
Raikou hitting up Hype Cave here with heart container.
There's your hammer.
The hammer. You can't touch this.
Now with that, Swamp Palace is a valid play for him now.
Not only Swamp Palace, but also Palace of Darkness.
That's correct, but I was just thinking more of Swamp Palace because he's right here in the vicinity.
Absolutely. Swamp Palace and its 6 unique items. Second only to Ganon's Tower. I believe Turtle Rock has 5, 6 if you include the Mimic Cave.
Who stops by the Mimic Cave?
Only in absolute emergencies.
So those tuning in here at the 43-minute mark right now, JC's making his way through Ag 1 because he knows that Bombos is required for Misery Mire. Misery Mire is crystal number 5 of this game. We also do know that raikourider has the hammer now out of the Hype Cave, but we know that that's somewhere JC's going to eventually make his way to. And we know that JC has a very important item that he picked out of a pendant Eastern dungeon that Raikou needs to have.
And that is the Titan's Mitts. And as we are approaching 45 minutes in this game, I'd like to remind everyone in the chat, follow these runners. They are incredible players at this game. If they weren't, they would not have advanced this far in the tournament. So make sure you give the runners a follow. And follow Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2 for more exciting 2017 Link to the Past Randomizer tournament action.
To answer the question that was being posted in chat, you'd need to have Titan's Mitt to get into Misery Mire. You need to have it to get into Ice Palace. And also, you cannot get to Eastern Death Mountain on the Dark World End, where Ganon's Tower is, without the Titans-Smith. So that's why Titans-Smith is always going to be one of those items that's required in this game.
Every single time.
You cannot beat this game without the bow. You cannot beat this game without the Titans-Smith. Under a rare circumstance could you beat this game without the hook shot, but that's about as rare as that's even rarer than having a pedestal required seed.
Absolutely.
But you need the hook shot if you're going to play this thing casually. You're not some player like Andy or Dodecahedron who can hover.
That's right.
I should take that back. You need the hammer because the hammer is needed in way too many dungeons.
Indeed. You have to have it for this dungeon that raikourider's in, Palace of Darkness. You have to have it to get into Turtle Rock. You have to have it to complete Ice Palace. I think the hammer is probably contingent on more dungeons are contingent on the hammer than any other item.
Let's see what JC gets here out of Catfish. Remember, Raikou did not stop on by before going to the King's Tomb. And JC finds it's just some love.
He's got plenty of hearts, but I don't know if I would ever turn down a heart container.
Uh-oh. Guess what Raikou just did?
Yep, he has... Now, I saw someone in the chat said soft lock. He is actually not soft locked, but he will have to.
And he just realizes it.
Yeah.
He just realized it. He buried the key. Now, when they say soft lock, that means pretty much not necessarily a soft lock. You have to save and quit. And whoops. But if this ever happens, what you need to do is you need to leave the dungeon. But you can't just go right back in. You have to go a screen transition over to reset the water and then go back in.
Is correct. I believe that was something that the randomizer makers had to patch into the game because it was not possible to bury that key in vanilla. So the game was never programmed to reset the water. So it would have been a soft lock in vanilla, but I believe the randomizer programmers fixed the glitch, so to speak.
Well, the thing is that when you're playing this vanilla, you're not meant to have the hook shot so you can grab that key off that one little ledge to the right of the big chest. So you are normally supposed to go down into the well, grab the key, go that other room back, and then eventually make your way back over to the ledge once you finally get the hook shot out of the big chest.
So Raikou now has fixed the glitch in his own game and is returning to Swamp Palace. JC hitting up the Sea Hut in Village of Outcasts and gets some bombs for his trouble.
Well,
JC, go ahead.
I was going to say, at this point in time, because people are actually talking about it, JC's only 2 items away from go mode.
That is true. He needs only the fire rod and the hammer.
Yep, the fire rod, which is going to be needed to get into Skull Woods. And the hammer, which is where we know.
Yeah, for all the reasons we discussed earlier on that hammer.
Well, we know where the hammer is. We don't know where the fire rod is. For Raikou, it's a little bit harder because he needs the Titans-Smith, he needs the fire rod, the Case of Maria, and I don't think you need the book at all this seed.
Not unless the fire rod is on one of the Master Sword medallion pedestals, because you can get into Desert Palace with the mirror as long as you have the Titans-Smith.
And because the book ended up being in the West Cave of Misery-Mire, it's obvious that you have to be able to Titan-Smith your way into Misery-Mire and then mirror your way back over to the desert anyway. Unfortunately for Raikou, this is just adding up time that he's now getting himself further behind because it's questionable when he is finally going to be able to make his way into Eastern Palace, because once again, Eastern Palace is a pendant dungeon, and it's not the green one.
That's right, which means it will not be the first, generally will not be the first one on a runner's mind. I think JC was, and again, we'll probably need to ask him about this after the run, regardless of whether he wins or loses, was it the fact that you had the bow early? Was that the reason why you went into Eastern Palace? Was that the deciding factor?
Understanding how V18 logic worked is a very critical thing here. And somebody earlier was mentioning, why didn't Raikou just go ahead and check these 2 chests? He should have. He should have before he ended up leaving, because he would have now known that those 2 chests are useless. He didn't have to waste the time going back into this direction, and he could have easily have just reset things and just go right straight down the middle afterwards.
And it's always those little decisions, like, you know, skipping the basement of Tower of Hera that could end up being the deciding factor in one of these randomizer races.
So JC's going through the digging game. Natural progression here is he's going to end up heading on over to the Haunted Grove. He's going to head to the cave south of that, and then we're going to see him make his way to the Hype Cave, and then he'll have the hammer, which will put him on the same information that Raikou has in regards to that aspect of the Dark World.
And wouldn't it be interesting if Sahasrahla has the Ice Rod, considering that Raikourider already went into Thieves Town and didn't complete it?
Ice Rod or Fire Rod?
I'm sorry, I meant Fire Rod if I said Ice Rod. It's been a long week. My in-laws were in town.
Oh, sure. Blame the in-laws.
No, I love my in-laws, but it was stressful.
Well, let's see what the dwarf has. The smithery. Well, we're going to have to wait a moment, because apparently you can't warp back on to the world via the doors. So we find the Ether Medallion in Swamp. Raikou's probably happy about finding it, because he doesn't know what's needed for a Misery Mire. Ooh, the magic powder. That's an interesting place to find it.
Yeah, considering that you can, well, he doesn't have the hammer, but he can warp back in, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to check Batman. Of course, he will lose his Dark World portal this way, because without the hammer, he can't get back to the portal, but I don't know that he's terribly concerned about that right now.
Probably not, especially if this yields him something good.
So the burning question for both runners right now is certainly, where is the Fire Rod?
Yeah, the Fire Rod, which is going to become the one item. And you know what I'm talking about when I say the one item.
Absolutely. The one item that both runners are waiting for to get to go mode now. Obviously, Raikourider is also waiting on the Titan's Mitts, but we know where the Titan's Mitts are, but we do not know where the Fire Rod is at this moment.
JC now going back into the Dark World, probably picking things up where he left off.
So Raikou picking up his first crystal. And that's an interesting thing to think about as well, is that it doesn't look like he has completed any crystal dungeons other than Swamp Palace at the moment.
Yeah, because he stayed away from Tower of Hera. And then something happened. And then we caught up. And there you go. He looks like he's heading for Palace of Darkness next.
Not a bad play at all. It is a crystal dungeon, and again, it has 5 items in it. So based on the knowledge that Raikou has right now, it's pretty good play, even if he is skipping all over Hyrule.
And JC is in Thieves Town. Maybe we'll get to see what's actually in Thieves Town more than what's on the first floor here on Raikou that we saw on Raikou's end.
The question is he going to complete the dungeon, or is he popping in here? Yeah, it looks like he's just popping in here to get the first 4 items and then out.
Yep, there he is. He mirrors, and he's done.
Because he knows it is a pendant dungeon, but it is 4 items that you can check really, really quickly.
The thing with the Thieves' Town is that it's also a green pendant. And again, that leads to the possibility that Sarashla could have something very important.
And that would be interesting, and considering that both runners have gone into the green pendant dungeon, but neither has completed it.
So Jaysee now making his way to the top of the ledge here. He's going to find the red goo coming up, the Hawaiian Punch. Do you like Hawaiian Punch?
That would be un-American if I didn't like Hawaiian Punch, Rick. So,
good.
The insinuation that I would not like Hawaiian Punch, that quintessentially syrupy, sugary, vaguely fruit-flavored treat is offensive to my status as an American.
Well, I'm sorry, because Jaysee ended up saying no to it. I'm sorry, Fiesel. I got the commercial incorrect. It's been a while since I've had the chance to reference it.
So in my dulcet tones, I will answer the request of my adoring public and say, how about a nice Hawaiian Punch?
That sounds awful.
I know. That was the point.
That sounds seductive.
If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, Rick. That's all I gotta say.
Okay, I'm out of here.
Meanwhile, JC just checked the Bombos tablet and not getting a whole bunch out of that, while Raikou is doing his full clear of the Palace of Darkness.
Now, the question here for Raikou is, will he pop into Eastern after he's done with the Palace of Darkness? That could be where he could make up some ground if he opts to do so.
Absolutely it could, and it would not be a bad idea either, because he's right there. All he has to do is mirror out from the entrance of Pod, and bam, he just walks right into the entrance of Eastern Palace.
And JC picking up the hammer and a whole bunch of love.
JC is now 1 item away from the elusive Go mode.
Yeah, but it's the elusive fire rod, which could be anywhere except for 2 possible locations at this point.
That's right, it cannot be in Skullwood.
Well, it can be in Skullwood, it's just not the final segment.
Right. What is the other place it cannot be?
Most of Turtle Rock. If the setup is perfect, it could be in Turtle Rock, but it would have to give you enough keys to get through enough of that dungeon for it to make a difference. And the 2 upper chests on the first floor where you have to have the fire rod to go through to open up the door would have to be insignificant.
Because otherwise there's that one room where you have to use both the Cane of Samaria to create a platform and the fire rod to light 4 torches, which obviously you can't do if you don't have the fire rod. Raikou heading into the Maze of Darkness, while JC is also heading into Palace of Darkness. We could get a high five going on here.
Well, there's the Quake Medallion, so Raikou now knows that he has anything he needs to go into Misery Mire without even taking a look at it.
And he finds the big key. And what will the big key chest hold today, ladies and gentlemen?
I'm betting the map.
Both of our runners today have been having a problem getting blown up by their own bombs.
Friendly fire. No, it seems to be arrows. Now, Raikou still has a little bit more of this Palace of Darkness to search, so here he goes back through the maze.
Just to piggyback on something you just said, Rick, friendly fire isn't.
Oh, we're being told that Fire Rod was in Palace of Darkness. Guess who's going to be on Go mode real soon?
Oh, how did we miss that? My God, Raikourider did in fact pick up the fire rod.
We're bad.
Oh my God, we're fired.
Yeah, we were talking about Hawaiian punches.
It could be. We missed the item that put Raikourider, or that could put one of our competitors in go mode.
And we see it on the menu right. And we see it in the menu right there.
But it won't be. But Raikourider is not in go mode because he still needs the Titan's mitts, which are in Eastern Palace.
Well, here's the thing, by the way. Once he gets the mitts, he knows he's going to be in go mode. For one big reason, he knows where the King of Samaria is.
It's true. And now Raikou at the longest wait in Palace of Darkness. It's not quite as long as the moving wall in Misery Mire. I think that's the longest wait in the game.
This feels about the same as the one in Desert.
Yeah, it's about that long. One in Misery Mire is so long, the torches go out while you wait.
So this is the first of 2 races from these guys. They're going to do a back-to-back here, doubleheader. So
I was going to say, so Rick, regardless of who ends up winning this seed, do you think it gives them an advantage in the next one? Because knowing that you already have one in under your belt, would you be more willing to take risks and take routing risks than you were in the first game? And does that give you an advantage over your opponent?
I think the big thing here comes into play. If Raikou ends up losing this race, it's going to put him under a lot of pressure. And he might be still steaming from that loss here. And it might come back to affect his mindset when he gets into race 2. But he might be thinking that he will have to take some risks against JC if that turns out to be the case.
Because the randomizer...
And there's the fire rod, by the way, for JC. It turned out to be in the basement outside Helmasaur's room.
Yes, it is. And ladies and gentlemen, JC is now in go mode.
I think Ryu just clipped out. Probably a little too loud. JC knows he's in go mode, but he still has to search because he's looking for the big key. And Raikou, this decision's the big decision. He's going into Eastern.
Well, we all know it's the right decision, so this could be extremely interesting because Eastern Palace is not a long dungeon to clear. He will clear it completely because he's not yet in go mode. So this could be a bit of a catch up for Raikou.
Phantom.
Uh-oh.
There's ringing in my ears. Do you know why?
Why is that?
I can barely hear you now since I'm still trying to overcome your go mode.
Did it attenuate me that much? Are we back today?
So JC in go mode. He's now heading on over to Helmasaur. Raikou Rider finishing up Eastern Palace. He's going to have the Titan's mid soon. Hopefully he'll make the right play, head on over to Desert, which will help him out via the backdoor entrance, which will pretty much end any speculation where he needs to go. Where are those silver arrows, by the way?
That's an excellent question. That could always be the pedestal.
Oh, yes, that's right. We have seen some seeds like that before. Raikou is opting to gamble that the chest that he needs out of the big key room is not required. It's the right decision. But he might be thinking at an hour 4 that he needs to make a play like that. So, at an hour 4, you're not in go mode. What's going through your mind at this point?
What's going through your mind is trying to figure out what I have left to check and what's the best route around it, which, you know, given the item distribution, can be a pretty difficult task if you're not using a manual tracker. It's also wondering, oh my god, is my opponent, how far ahead of me is my opponent if you're not in go mode?
The thing is, at this point, he's about to find the Tinesman. And again, he knows where the Canis Maria is. He knows that he can backdoor into the desert. So he will pretty much be in go mode right about now. He's just going to have to make the extra trip up to Death Mountain to get that Canis Maria. And there's the Tinesman. For Raikou, Jaysee's heading over to Ice Palace.
And, you know, he can make since he hasn't done Tower of Hera yet, he can make the trip to the island to get the Canis Maria on his way to Tower of Hera.
At some point in time, he's going to have to make that path up. Now, Raikou ends up saving and quitting. Now, he already killed Aghanim, so it didn't do what he wanted it to do.
So Jaysee in go mode will be able to skip a significant portion of Ice Palace.
And Raikou now up here to Death Mountain. It's time to go grab this Canis Maria.
Raikou will get the item that will put him in go mode, but he will have a significant amount of time to take up to catch up with Jaysee at this point.
And Raikou opting to mirror, as I think he's going to try to take the portal at Turtle Rock to get on over to the other side.
Might be slightly faster going up this side rather than going through the Dark World side.
Now, don't forget, these guys have to do Misery Mire, so that Canis Maria on the floating island is required.
You know, rare is the game that the Canis Maria is not required, although it is possible.
So the thing is, you know, it may seem like Raikou's not doing the right thing, and the thing is, he's got to get over to the Hookshot Cave to grab that Canis Maria right now.
Absolutely, he does, and he also has to get Tower of Hera, which is a pendant dungeon. And the other possibility...
You mean Crystal Dungeon?
Yes, Crystal Dungeon. The other possibility that we haven't considered is, what if the double-chested fairy has no, never mind. They're in go mode, and oh boy, rip stream.
And so at 1 hour 8 minutes and 21 seconds, or 1 hour 8 minutes and 23 seconds, we see these guys taking a look at things, and they continue to move. And they do something, and apparently Jaysee in that process ended up killing Cold Stare.
I'm sure it was an epic fight, and he took out the evil Cold Stare in heroic fashion.
Look at Raikou's link hovering over the pit.
It's a thing of beauty, isn't it?
He's probably just grabbed that Canis Maria. The question is will he do Hera? There's an interesting routing decision that he could take too, though. He could do Hera just before doing G Tower.
That's true, but in many seeds, people save Turtle Rock until last because it's right next to Ganon's Tower. Well, heck, Tower of Hera is Ganon's Tower in the Dark World, so...
But he's apparently in Tower of Hera now, so
yeah.
that ends that speculation.
Commentator's curse.
Yeah, there we are. He's gonna get this big key, and that's all he needs to get out of this. He can just go right straight to the boss. He would love to find silvers.
Wouldn't we all? Now, luckily, though, they do have the butter swords, so Silverless Ganon is not as much of a pain in the rear as it could be.
Why? I thought Ganon Silverless was the hardest thing in the face of this earth.
It is in the beginning when you first learn it, but oof. But just for the fact that Butter Sword makes the first 2 phases go by so much quicker alone.
Well, JC's about to go through Swamp Palace. You know the remarkable thing about being on Go mode going through Swamp Palace?
You do not have to open a single chest to go
Except
through
for this
Swamp
one.
Palace. Except that one. Chad has pointed out a very good point here that the fact that both runners only have green mail could make this very interesting.
Right now, I think that would favor JC, actually.
Considering that we've seen raikourider take a death in this seed already.
Which turned out actually to just draw him off the scent, because he was going to full clear that Thieves Town.
True. Which we now know was not necessary, but at the time, could have been extraordinarily interesting.
Well, actually, Raikou could actually do the back-to-back with Misery Mire and Desert. As we see Raikou ending up spinning up his green goo, because he's going to be buying some potions.
And he can
Hey
certainly
there,
afford it.
Wish. There's a gift for you.
Chat's also put out a good speculation. Silver's invalidation chest. We have seen that before in this tournament in the pools.
I would love to notice that. I'd love that to be the case. So Raikou now heading over to the Dark World, he already knows that he's got the medallions needed for this. The book is going to be found in the next chest here, but it's not really all that significant. Raikou opting, looks like he's just opting to go right straight into Swamp first, to Misery Mire first.
And why not? He's depending on the key distribution. Well, the key distribution in Mire doesn't really matter. You're going to be doing some backtracking regardless.
JC is opting, well, nope, he just remembered. I'm on Go mode. I don't need to check those chests. None of that really mattered, but it turned out that both Misery Mire and Turtle Rock were both bombos.
Which can happen. Misery Mire is unlike Ice Palace, which most people dislike having to run through. There's no way to shorten Misery Mire significantly the way there is with Ice Palace. You're in for a slog as soon as you go into Misery Mire.
Unless you find the instant big key. And that could be a possibility.
Right, you're going to check the double key room here, as JC is making himself some shrimp scampi.
Shrimp Scampi. Gets a compass for his efforts. Says, thank you. I already know who you are. I don't need any more help.
That's right. And Raikou is not getting the instant big key here. He's going to have some trekking to do. The worst possible scenario, of course, is if big key is in its vanilla location.
And because Raikou did not go to the breadsmiths, he does not have magic powder, which would help him significantly here, get some extra health.
And that could be even more significant considering the green mail situation that we brought up earlier, because Ganon's tower is paced such that every so often you have the opportunity to use that magic powder to turn either a bunny beam or an anti-fairy into a fairy.
But the big difference there is that at least it gives you an opportunity to get a couple of fairies the regular way, and he finds the big key without having to go through the nasty torch room that you were speaking of earlier.
Raikou can just do a loop around here and head straight for Vitreous.
He's taking the longer way, but he is going to eventually get there.
And, I mean, can you really blame him? Everyone gets turned around in mire every now and then.
It's Misery Mire. It's supposed to be miserable.
It's in the name.
Definitely is.
So he only has 5 hearts right now, so he's got to be hoping he gets a fairy in order to do... Well, with Green Mail, the iframe strats of, running into the goo underneath Vitreous and doing some spin splashes isn't really going to work with Green Mail. Well, although he does have potions.
Yeah, don't forget he bought potions before going in, because he knows this is going to be quite the battle ahead.
Would have been made much easier had he the silver arrows, but alas, that is not to be.
Yeah, we have no clue where the silvers are going to be, and for all we know, we might not even find it. It could very well be in Turtle Rock, for all we know.
Well, Ganon will be sure to taunt them with its location if they do not find it.
We'll be sure to ask the chat where they think it's going to be when we get to that venue here in about, let's see, about 25 minutes from now.
Something like that.
Raikou better think about potioning before going into Vitreous, because 2.5 hearts, it's pretty much an instant path for death if anything touches him that's not the green goo.
I think that's correct. I think anything in that room will take him out.
And you notice he does have the potion all set, ready to go. He knows what's going to happen here.
I don't blame him in the slightest.
I was going to say, he better hope he hits that white button really, really fast.
That's right. And he already took care of it.
Just keep an eye on that big, gigantic eyeball, because when it pops up, it's about ready to stick you with its thunderbolt.
And that Thunderbolt with Green Mail, yeah, it's just what I thought, 4 hearts of damage.
But actually, he got hit with the eyeball, and the invincibility frames kind of made him invulnerable to the lightning bolt. But that's a different story. Although that was only a heart, so he might have been in the goo at that point.
Yeah.
And he gets Vitreous down. And gets a key for the effort.
Yeah, a lot of times the boss ends up having a small key because there's one room in Mire just has a bunch of rupees in it that's locked, that's behind a locked door, so nobody ever runs into it.
Oh, that's right. I often forget about that room. It's on the other end of the switch that we see Jaysee in right now.
Correct.
So now Raikourider with the mirror in hand, he's going to do the Desert Palace combo now, which is going to help him out. But the problem is that he's still a dungeon behind.
He is
Jaysee at this point.
He is indeed. Because Jaysee has completed Ice Palace, he's about to complete Misery Mire and will head straight to Skull Woods. Raikou, once he completes Desert Palace, will still have Ice Palace to do, which is much shorter than it normally is because of the ability to bomb jump.
He gets the big key really fast, and he's just going to head on over to the Dark World and walk around so he doesn't have to go through the Desert Palace maze. I actually like this decision.
I think that's a phenomenal decision. I don't know that I've ever seen anybody do it, but it is absolutely brilliant. Saves a whole lot of time, like you said, going through that Desert Palace maze. He's in go mode, so he needed nothing else other than that big key.
Yep, just to get the key out of the pot here, you need one more key, but you're going to get that in the pot in the room that you need it, where you're going to find the key in. And this is a very, very easy Desert Palace for Raikou at this point. But again, he's still a dungeon behind, and the how long it takes for him to get through the Ice Palace is not going to be enough time as JC's still only got Skull Woods left to do, and Skull Woods is super easy in go mode.
Absolutely.
Since Turtle Rock being a pendant dungeon, Ice Rod is not required this seed.
That's correct. Now, again, we have noted before that both of these runners only have the green mail, so possibly here a bad Ganon's Tower by JC, and it is not unheard of for runners to fall or die against Ganon. So, be a little bit premature to say that that raikourider can't win this, but he does have a tough row to hoe, and it probably would be dependent on JC making some sort of mistake here.
Now, we are being noted here about raikourider's arrow count. It's 0. That's going to come into play once he gets to Ganon's Tower. But he's still got Ice Palace to do. He's going to go Skull Woods first, and then go to Ice Palace. Doesn't really matter at this point. You have to go back into the light world, flute yourself over, and go back into the dark world either way.
Just one of the 6-1, half a dozen of the other. Since he's right here, I guess he just decided that let's go ahead and knock out Skull Woods while we're here. As you mentioned before, it's super quick in go mode. So,
and unfortunately for those people hoping to get a pedestal check, since both of these guys are in go mode, there will be no pedestal check. It's nothing significant to these runners. For all we know, it could be the Cane of Burna.
And JC down to takes
dying.
the death.
But I think he's got a fairy. Does he have a fairy? Yes, he does.
Yes, he does. And I remember playing this game when in the 90s when it first came out, and the first time I died and actually had a fairy.
Oh, what a time death right there. It looked like he was about ready to get bopped again. Gets the crystal.
Yes.
He's out of Skull Woods. And he's going to be heading on over to Ganon's Tower, the first one to do so.
There's some times when, just like you were saying there, almost got hit, but clutched it out in the end, where a saying that my father said comes into my mind, which is, I'd rather be lucky than good any day.
He got lucky right there. And so JC now making the long path here through Death Mountain to portal himself over to get over to Ganon's Tower. You know, Ryu, you know what we do this time.
Absolutely. There are 22 chests in Ganon's Tower. Chat, which key or which chest will hold the big key? We already got some guesses in the chat as JC plunges into the dark abyss below. But I always have to go with lucky number 13. Rick, what's your guess?
You know, it's actually nice not to have to say that once. I'll make sure to say it the next time around, though. I'm going to say chest number 11 today.
11. Raikou is also having some trouble with Mothula, but he, unlike JC, has a potion.
And Mothula goes down. raikourider picks up the crystal now. Don't forget, he still has Ice Palace to do. JC opting to go ahead and grab a fairy for his troubles before going into Ganon's Tower, so there's still some time to get your guesses in. Don't forget, these two will be racing again in race number 2 right after we're done with this first race.
We are on a double header this evening.
This is a best of 3 bracket stage right now. raikourider, JC. raikourider, the number 33 seed. JC, the number 32 seed. The winner takes on the number 1 seed in the tournament, Evil Ash.
That's got to be difficult, knowing, I mean, even if you win this race, knowing you have to go up against the number 1 seed. So let's see, will JC go left or right?
Right hand side here for JC. He's going to go ahead and check the first 2 chests. And what do we find in those first 2 chests? Money and a small key. That makes for an interesting decision where somebody could take a gamble and head on over to the right hand side if they choose to do so. JC opts not to do so, does the conventional path.
It's the higher percentage path, but as we have seen, oh no, Bob will die.
Raikourider opting to check a chest here in Ice Palace, maybe not liking where he stands with his tunic color, hoping maybe he could find something to help him out. We don't know where the tunics are, as JC ends up killing a bomb for 10 arrows. Raikou might want to think about doing that.
JC checking chest number 3, 4. Oh, wait, Bob counts as 1, so that was 5.
Yep, that would be 6 and 7.
All right, so all of you who are holding out for double-digit numbers, you got a good chance here. JC having trouble with the crystal switch there. And $5 bill in the fire chest.
But it's not really a bill, it's a coin.
True. It's a reference back to an old game Phantasmagoria, where you had the hint keeper who had a deep, scary, spooky voice, except there was a $5 bill item in the game, and when you identified it, he went all southern and said, a $5 bill.
And Raikou getting the first attempt on the Ice Bomb Palace jump there. The Ice Palace bomb jump, rather, and gets it successfully. He's on through. He said he's practicing on it, so it's good to see that he was able to make it successful the first time.
Clearly that practice has paid off. JC going into the room over here behind the exploding wall that I swear I never knew existed until I started watching Randomizer tournaments.
10, 11, 12, 13, silver arrows in chest 13.
Alright. Well, wasn't the big key, but still good. Lucky number 13.
And with that, we are going to get to chest number 14. Raikou's going to have to be very, very careful with his health, because Cold Stare can pack a bad punch.
Absolutely. It's better to get hit by the...
Go ahead.
I was saying better to get hit by the blocks of ice falling from the ceiling than get hit by Cold Stare itself.
Oh, absolutely. Getting hit with the blocks gives you 1 heart of damage. Getting hit with the Cold Stare himself, you get hit twice, you are dead. Anyways, JC equipping his silver arrows. The Armos fight's going to be quite easy now. And oh, nice kill there by Raikou, getting him popped into the corner. No problems, whatever.
Absolutely flawless Cold Stare kill there by Raikou.
15, 16, 17, no. 15, 16, no. 17, no. We're going right-hand side. Now, just think. People might think this race could get closer if Raikou chooses the right side gamble, but we know the right side gamble is going to make him miss out on silvers.
It is true. So whatever he would gain by going right, he would lose by not having silver arrow.
Ooh, JC getting trolled by the Kansas Mario block.
Yeah, the hitbox of that is always wonky on a Switch. It looks like it should be pressing the switch, but it doesn't. Oh, and JC almost getting grabbed by the Wallmaster there.
That would be extremely bad for him at this point. Really bad.
And come on, does he have enough time? Okay, I was thinking that one of those that first torch was about to go out there.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of time, but you do have to be careful. It's Raikou making his way up the mountain here. Here we go. Boomerang in 18. 19's got the big key, so if you pick number 19, congratulations, you win that boomerang that JC just picked up for you.
The maroon meringue, the red meringue. the lag meringue. Heard it called all of those things. JC heading up to Gauntlet as Raikou is about to enter Ganon's tower.
Yeah, but unfortunately, right at this point now, this means that unless something powerful happens here to JC, now take a look at his health count right now, down to 5 hearts. He's going to have the chance to pick up some more fairies, and he does have a fairy in reserve in a bottle. But he's going to have to be careful with his health because this is going to be a brutal gauntlet coming up here on Green Mail.
Every enemy here packs a pretty darn good punch. So he may have to use his safety fairies. And like you said, he will have opportunities not only to grab fairies, because he does have the bug catching net, but also to use the magic powder to create some fairies as well.
We're likely going to see JC heading over to the right-hand side here to take a look at the fairy hut here with the 2 fairies that are available to him. Raikou opting to go the standard left route here, which is a path that is going to give him the silvers, but we know that it's not going to yield him the big key at this point.
However, Raikou will let Bob live, whereas JC had to go ahead and take Bob out.
It's interesting that the person with the least amount of arrows of the 2 did not pick up the arrows.
But luckily, you only need 4 arrows to take out Ganon, so...
Well, yeah. But it's always nice to have more, because you need 4 of them heading up the 3rd floor.
True.
Because the whole reason why you need to have the bow in the first place is don't forget about the mimics coming up on floor 3. That's the only reason why bow is required for all players.
Luckily, the silver arrows take them out with 1 shot, and luckily they have the mirror shield, which will deflect their fireballs.
Yeah, that makes it easier here, and we see JC just bumping off those wizards pretty easily. So,
okay, that's the slightly more difficult one. He gets the Cane of Samaria block and takes out the 4th wizard.
So you're Raikou Rider. You're at an hour 32 and you're on go mode. And you're in Ganon's tower. Do you think you might be in good position at this point?
I think you are always, at this level of play, you are always confident in yourself, but cautiously so. I think Raikou is saying, there's a pretty good shot I'm in the lead right now, but I know my competition is good, so I can't afford to slack off.
And the silver pickup there for Raikou Rider now. That's a nice kill right there on JC's end to take care of the mini Helmosaurus. He needed to do so because he needed the key.
You always have to head up with at least 1 key. That's the last key door in the game. JC trying to get some extra fairies here as well.
Yeah, this is his last chance for health right there. Alright, Trolldorm. What's he gonna do? Kind of easy.
Yeah.
That's no problem at all.
No trolls here today. Raikou.
And JC opts not to check the chest.
He ignores the validation chest.
What if they had the red mail in it?
Could be significant. It'll depend on whether or not Ganon has given out free hugs today.
Well, he's about to go off to Dairy Queen with the pig and grab some hot dogs, so there you go. Oh, was that a double or a triple? We don't have the audio on our end, so we don't know for certain, but he's got himself all lined up. That's a triple there, so that's got to be 5. And there's 6.
And that is it for Aghanim 2.
That is a marvelous Aga 2 there on JC's end. That first one there, the 2 ended up hitting at the same time. So, That's why it didn't count as a triple, but it was 2-3-1, a beautiful agate too. And JC first to Ganon, Raikou getting wall mastered.
You hate to see that kind of thing happen.
That is awful. Well, here you go. Here's your breakfast message.
So what is he referring to as whole grain? The world may never know.
No. Let's not go there. This is a family stream. Remember, we had that discussion about an hour 30 ago now.
That's pretty true, yeah. Of course, Ganon is a pig. Pigs will eat almost anything. So.
Well, JC's hoping to serve up some pigs in a blanket.
Absolutely, get some skewered barbecue here.
And the arrows in Ganon's tower. Yes, I'm about to feed him right to you.
Yeah. Do you mean these arrows?
And he was unable to get the torch glitch, but it doesn't really matter here. There's one, there's two. He tried to get the triple. He goes here. That's it. Ganon is down. JC takes game 1 of 3.
So everyone, make sure to stay tuned because we will be following up this race with round 2 of the best 2 out of 3 immediately following. This is a double header. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, congratulations to JC, the GG. Even the game is telling him GG. Fantastic performance here from JC. And raikourider not very far behind him. Rick, what was the difference in this particular race?
Well, let's see. I think there's a little bit of routing from Raikou. Like, he made up for it at points, but I think there was enough of a routing difference between the two that it ended up costing a little bit. I mean, there was really not much that Raikou could do differently in this seed, except for maybe not pop into Thieves Town.
It may come down to luck because JC did do Eastern Palace earlier. Raikou opted to do Aghanim, and after he did Aghanim, the Power Glove was on the pyramid. So Raikou probably thought he was in smooth sailing, not anticipating having to go into a pendant dungeon.
That's correct, and the thing is that both of these guys had a good race, and here's a point here too that should be noted. Jaysee had no issues with the swamp. He was on Triforce and Go. He was in Go mode at that point. He had no reason to stay around swamp and open up the chests, and that's not even counting the oops from Raikou that had him flood the key.
Yeah, Raikou fled the key. He took a death in Thieves Town. Both nearly took a death in Skull Woods, though both had safety for that. So those two deaths that Raikou took could also played into the very brief time difference here.
And JC has noted that he's going to wait until Raikou is done before he comes in for the interview. So that's what we're waiting on in that end here. I really think that it was a good race by both of these guys here. Like I said, Raikou might be feeling down about this, might be feeling nervous entering game 2. And there's a couple of places where he had a rough go, like that the death in Thieves Town really did wreck him, and flooding the key hurt him in Swamp Palace. But again, I don't think he had that bad of an execution. It's not like he's losing by 20 minutes here. He's gonna probably end up only losing by about 6 minutes at the most.
As we had said multiple times here, it's sometimes these small little decisions that have the big consequences. Was it JC's decision to go into Eastern Palace early and get the Titan's Myth that was the decision maker? And
don't forget, this is a best of 3 here. These two are going to go ahead and talk to us a little bit. And then they're going to go ahead and set up for game number 2. And we'll have that right here on Speed Gaming 2 as well. We're still waiting to see what the pedestal had. Pedestal couldn't have anything that's significant, though.
No. Although it could have been something that I'm sure both of these runners would have liked to have had. Blue mail, red mail.
Oh, the eggplant suit, maybe.
Banana hat.
The full heart. Where were the increases then? The defensive increases.
Well, neither runner ever went into Turtle Rock because why would you if it's not required?
I thought you always wanted to make a visit with your friend, the Trinex.
So it's possible that mail upgrades could have been there. Neither went into Spike Cave. So
Raikou having a few issues with the bombs, gets it on the 3rd try.
Those darn treadmills, they do it every time.
The first one was on the very bottom, so it didn't move. The second one was too high. The third one was just perfect. Kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Rick.
Perfect. Let's see what Raikou does with this upcoming chest.
Well, that was a point that you made earlier. What if it is a mail upgrade? Nope.
Well, it was red, but it was a rupee.
Yep. Raikou getting bounced around a little bit by the bumpers there. But the power of the boots takes him through.
And let's see how his Aga 2 goes. He's going to have to be careful. He's got 5 hearts.
We have seen a couple double triples on Aghanim.
Ooh, he had the nice setup there. Only could get one of the 3 shots. One was just outside. There he gets a double.
There's a double.
There's a double right there. That puts him at 5.
That was very skillfully done, too.
Yeah, that was good. And there's 6, and he's on to Ganon.
As we're coming up here, anybody have any guesses on how many bonks from JC on this one?
Well, yeah, we should probably do that. Let's see how many bonks JC ended up having. We're being told that the second race is going to be a few minutes after this, so we got a few minutes here to talk about that. How many bonks is going to be the case. So here's something Raikou's going to end up doing. He doesn't like the fact that he's only got 4 hearts. He's going to go, and if I do know him well here, he's heading off to the potion shop.
He already has 1 potion, but I think he only has the 1. So
yeah, I think he wants the safety at this point. But he can only afford the 1.
I imagine that should probably be all he needs, even given the red mail or green mail.
And that's the thing is because he's got the green mail, he wants the security at this point.
Hey, free hugs from Ganon are not pleasant.
Free hugs from guards aren't pleasant either, but at least they don't take as much health away from you.
True. There's the important stuff scrolling on JC's screen now with the 19 items pre-Ganon key.
40 bonks.
Boots were not that early in the seed, but they weren't terribly late either. Probably in the first quarter of the game.
And we got at least one person who put in 39 as their guess, so you were the closest that I can see right now without going over. So congratulations to you. You win that other boomerang that we found.
The bloomerang. So Raikou here in Phase 2 of Ganon. Doesn't look like he's having too terribly much trouble. It's about time for Torch Glitch.
Yeah, butter sword, silver arrows. This is not going to be that difficult. Like I said, it would have been probably a little closer to 7 minutes if he ended up not opting to go for potions, but he does like these securities here, so he's going to do that and gets the timing down pretty good.
JC bonking around in the Chris Houlihan room.
And nice double there by Raikou. Gets him on over. Can't get him all the way. He's going to have to get one more hit on the Ganon. Don't think he can get it from there, so wait for him to teleport. And when he shows up, fire him with the silver arrows, get him on down, and he's done with the time we'll have in just a moment. So official SRL times, JC's was 1:36:03. Raikourider 1:45:23. Not a bad run for both of these guys. How about a GG for both?
And meanwhile, Jaysee87 is giving Link a massive concussion in the Chris Houlihan room over here.
What I said in IRC perfectly describes exactly how I played this race.
I think you both had a very good race. There was one major routing deviation between both of you here, and that is while Raikou was heading on over to Aga 1, JC was heading through Eastern Palace. Now, I had to ask JC, why did you go through Eastern?
I was thinking about doing that too.
Because I would rather check 3 items than unlock the rest of the world at the time. There's still quite a few places to check. I was hoping that would play off. Pendant Eastern's never too big of a gamble to do. It's pretty fast.
And you found the Titan's Bit, which helped give you a little more access to the world, and unfortunately could not avoid you from Aga 1, though.
Yeah, I found that out immediately.
JC, I did exactly the opposite thing. I went to kill Aga 1 because I saw Bombos at the Lumberjack, and I don't know about you, but I think Bombos helps tremendously with Gauntlet.
I don't do Medallions and Gauntlet.
So, as soon as I found a way to get to most of Dark World, I was digging Dark World trying to find Titan's Mitt, and eventually I ended up routing Pod with Eastern, eventually checked Eastern, found the Titan's Mitts there, and I was disgusted because I've seen how you play, and I know you like to clear out Pendant Eastern before doing anything major.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll almost 9 times out of 10, I will probably clear out Pendant Eastern before I clear out Aga.
So, Raikou, you ended up opting to go through Thieves Town once you made your way over to the Dark World, the Village of Outcasts. What made you go through that pendant dungeon?
What made me go through there is it was green pendant. There were 5 items, but the big selling point was I had no easy way into Dark World at the time. So I figured if I'm going to go through Thieves Town to look for items in that dungeon, it was a combination of both it being green pendant and being difficult to access Dark World, because the only Dark World access without the mitts at the time was going through Aga 1. And coming back to Thieves Town later to look for an item would take a very long time. And that decision, if any one decision I made cost me the race, it was probably to go into Thieves Town as ill-equipped as I was. And this seed, just in general, goes to show you JC's skill at this game is pretty good, because this seed had very, very few safeties, and I think it showed, especially when I took the death late in Thieves Town.
Oh no. I was going to ask you if you went to Hype Cave first before Thieves Town. I think that was where Hammer was.
Yes, that's where the Hammer was, but at the time, it was going to be really far out of the way to get anywhere in Dark World, because the only way into Dark World was Aga 1 without mitts. Yeah. So when I found the so since I had the hook shot and I found the glove at the pyramid, I was thinking, this is the way to get into the Dark World. So let's go ahead and clear out all of North Dark World. Let's clear out all of Village of Outcasts and do all this stuff. And then I realized that this would be my only good chance to tackle Thieves Town unless I find these nits.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Neither of you guys ended up finding a mail at all. Did that rail go into your thinking as you're making your way through Ganon's tower?
Yeah, I was checking. I checked the rest of the extra chests in the randomizer room, and I tell you what, I thought I was there were multiple times in the seed where it was set up for me to take a gamble and get ahead, and I was really thinking hard about doing right side, and I bailed on it at the last minute.
Well, the other way of thinking about it is if you bailed on the right side, you would have missed out on the silvers.
True.
Which probably would have equaled out on time.
Actually, if I ended up not finding the silver, given the money situation, I probably would have quit. Because green mail, silverless Ganon, even with butter, is rough.
It just takes like a week's worth of work to get that to feel comfortable with it. And then also remember I come with an NMG background, so I've done a lot of the skill grinding already. So, like you said, it did help me out a bit.
I'm very happy I got the bomb jump, though.
Nice.
Yeah, you pulled off the Ice Palace bomb jump on the very first try. One other question I had to ask you, Raikou, is what was going through your mind, and remember this is a family-friendly stream at this point, what was going through your mind when you accidentally flooded the key in Swamp?
Stupid, 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 stupid.
Oh, you went to Swamp before Pod?
Yeah, I did Swamp before Pod. I am a huge fan of doing just because it's more items. And another thing, you wouldn't have wanted to hear my microphone anyway, because pretty much the entire seed I was saying, where are the blanking mitts?
We were thinking the same thing about the fire rod.
Yeah.
And then I stumbled upon it. It's like, okay.
Yeah, I was really happy when I stumbled into that as well.
I thought about checking out Pedestal and I looked at my 3 items that I was missing. I was like, well, they're locked by Turtle Rot. It's not gonna be at the pedestal.
I'm trying to remember where the fire rod ended up.
It was the basement of Palace of Darkness.
Yep.
On the left side.
Right.
Well, a good run for both of you guys. Go ahead and reset, and we'll get things ready to go for race number 2 between you guys in just a couple of minutes.
Sure.
All right. Now,
Okay, and
out.
this time, hopefully, there will be less idiocy.
You never know what you'll run into.
We can't guarantee that from the commentators, though.
Absolutely not.
All right, see you guys on the other side.
All right. That's raikourider, Jaysee87. Be sure to follow those guys. So, Phantom.
Yes, sir.
You want to do another race?
Of course.
All right.
Come on.
Let's set up for a second race between these guys. raikourider, Jaysee87, game 2 of 3, coming up in just a few minutes.
Primetime doubleheader Saturday night on Speed Gaming 2, the second, where raikourider will be fighting for his tournament life.
So we are going to go ahead and reset things to get these guys all set and ready to go for race number 2. Once again, JC with a 1-0 series lead now, right? Who has to win this to force a game 3, and that will be tomorrow night.
Tomorrow, if necessary, game 3 of this series will be tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time.
While we're going on about this race, you want to go ahead and talk about what's coming up next here, or what's other races are going on this weekend here on Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2?
My gosh, do we have a bunch of races going on? We will have we have DJ T for Heart and Leo Docs, I believe, going on Speedruns Live right now. We have Iggy versus Cruel tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. As aforementioned, we have if necessary, the tiebreaker match in this will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. And more races Monday at 9:30. Dark Magician versus EOD Tex will be going on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, if necessary, at 9:30 p.m. There are so many matches in this bracket round, and they keep getting added day by day. It's frenetic. It's amazing. It's pure hype.
And we're not even at the main body of this tournament. This is just the first round of the tournament, where we've had several of our runners have buys. We'll see a lot more of this heating up when we get to the round of 32 coming up real soon. All right, let's also talk about things that we got coming up here on Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2, coming up at 10 p.m. over on Speed Gaming 1, just Speed Gaming. Banjo-Kazooie, that tournament heating up, and a lot of races going on with that. That's happening beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern Time in about 25 minutes from now. Then coming up tomorrow on Speed Gaming, 9 a.m., you get the Zero Mission, the Metroid Zero Mission 100% tournament. That's beginning at 9 a.m. Eastern, and then there's going to be another race at 12 noon. The Link to the Past Randomizer races begin 2 p.m. Eastern here on Speed Gaming, while the Zero Mission goes over to Speed Gaming 2 at 2 p.m. as well. And then a little bit of a pause, and then in the evening, we've got some Banjo-Kazooie, both on here and as on Speed Gaming 1 as well. That begins 8 p.m. on Speed Gaming, 9 p.m. here on Speed Gaming 2. So be sure to follow both of these channels to keep up with what's going on with both of those tournaments. So, as JC continues to show us the gif of bonking in the Houlihan room, what do you think Raikou needs? What's going through Raikou's rider's mind as he's getting ready for the second race?
Well, clearly, Rick, he's got to be concerned about the fact that this is a must-win situation for him. And whether, some people are great under pressure, some people crack under pressure, but he may be tempted to take low percentage risks in the hope that one of those low percentage risks will pay off and give him an advantage in the tournament. JC has just got to concentrate on being consistent and making sure that he doesn't make mistakes, because although I'm sure he doesn't want to lose, he knows he can afford to.
It's going to be a fun race between both of these guys here as they get ready to finish setting up for this race. I think what we'll do is I'll go ahead and pause for a couple of moments here as we go ahead and reliquidate ourselves and take care of a couple of matters. We'll see you in about 60 seconds here on Speed Gaming 2. This is the Link to the Past Randomizer Tournament, the game number 2 between raikourider and Jaysee87. raikourider down 1-0 to JC here in this best of 3 tournament, so this is a must-win for raikourider. Jaysee87, one more win, and he's got a date against Evil Ash in the round of 32. Hey, all friends, I'm Adirondack Rick with Phantom Rio here for game number 2 of this best of 3. We've already talked about what these guys are going to be going through in this course of this second race, so we need to hear from the chat what you think is going to be in the first chest.
And Jaysee87 appropriately has his file names written to Round 2, Fight!
That must be a reference.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. Not a reference to anything.
So what do you think is going to be in the first chest?
Yeah, I called it last time. So let's see. First chest this time, I'm going to say blue mail.
Oh, the blue mail. Wouldn't that be kind of like a finger to these guys?
Well, I would think it would make up for the fact that they never got any mail upgrades in the previous game.
It was lost in the mail.
Oh, the puns, very punny.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm here for.
All right, so I'll tell it's been a couple races since I told this pun. So I had a friend who entered a pun contest, and he figured he'd enter 10 of them on the chance that one might win, but sadly, no pun intended.
Is number play just put in chat.
Yeah. Yeah, he heard that
Buckle
one before.
up, kids. It's going to be a long 90 or so minutes with us.
I love the salt from the chat after that terrible pun.
Well, just wait for the salt from the chat coming up here as we find out what's going to be at the very first chest of this game. I'm going to put a guess on mushroom.
So, drug money fetch quest. All right.
That's correct. We'll find out. This should be fun. Here we go. Round 2. Raikourider. Jaysee87. Jaysee87 wins. He's in the round of 32. Raikourider wins. He's playing